for joining us on the Right of Way Report, a podcast by Pike-Off OTA. You can join us here every Monday morning at 10 a.m., where we will bring you updates on legislation, litigation, and landowner information.
Hey, good morning.
Hey.
How was your weekend?
Pretty good. How was yours?
Fantastic weather. Friday night was a big basketball game. That was fun. And then I had another basketball game with a third grade team yesterday. That was interesting. we did all right. We played hard. And then this is the last week of basketball, regular season, and then it changes to soccer and track and all that.
All the other things.
Yeah. And plus we had a big weekend of trying to rebut some of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority talking points on our bills, which we're going to talk about today, which is super fun.
Yep.
Yeah. And we got some great wins last week. We got a couple bills passed committee, and everybody seems to be jumping on board of our eminent domain reform bills, which is amazing, in a different title than what we're usually in. So it's been a good year so far, and we hope to keep it going, but we're going to need everybody's help this week to finish up the House side and then start on the Senate side. And we have the Liberty Conference coming up in 2 weeks. And the tickets just went on sale. They just got reduced by 30%. So if you were thinking about it, you were on the fence, go to their website and join us, because I've got 10 Pike-Off OTA folks going to that conference. It's going to be great. And what else do we have going on?
They're showing the documentary, and just a little brief explanation of what the Liberty Conference is. For anybody who's wanting to become more involved in a grassroots movement at all, or just, to learn what you can do as a citizen to make changes in your local government and your state government. So she's putting on this conference that brings all of these like-minded people together. And basically, there are lots of groups around the state that are like ours that are fighting for property rights or just individual liberties. And so she's hosting this conference so that people can come together and kind of learn more about how to get involved and how to be successful, how to talk to your legislators, how to work social media, that kind of thing, how to make connections. And anyway, it should be really good. So if you're wanting to get more involved, but you're just really not sure where to start, because until this fell in my lap, I had no idea. I mean, I was forced to do that. But, having a training like this, what Jenny's putting on, would have been so helpful if we had already done that before this came about. So I think it'd be great, even if you're not wanting to become more involved, if you just want to know more, that way you're ready, if something does fall in your lap like this, then I think it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. And we're showing the documentary there. So.
Yeah, the documentary, you can do several things. You can go to all 3 days, which is Thursday starts at 5, and then it's dinner and a networking event, and then Friday's all day, and then Saturday's half a day. But if you just wanted to go to dinner and our documentary, you can pay $35 and go have dinner and watch the documentary with a bunch of people on Friday night, or you can just go to Friday, pay for that, or you can just go Friday, Saturday. So there's a whole bunch of different options if you can't make all 3 days, and I cannot make all 3 days, so I'll only be there Thursday night. But lots of our group are going to be there all days, and then some other days. So you can go and pick and choose. And if you get on their website, you can see the schedule and see who's talking. You've got a whole bunch of legislators, and then lots of nonprofit heads of nonprofit that have been very successful across the state to talk. And then there's some campaign finance people and some people that have run campaigns, grassroots campaigns there, to talk about that. So if you're interested in meeting some new people and getting involved, definitely check it out, because there's a level of involvement for everybody. If you just want 1 day or 3 days or one night, you can check that out. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then, of course, don't let us forget to talk about the public comment for the OTA bridge interchange on I-35, and then the public comment for ODOT on the same stretch of road between Indian Hills and Moore. So we need everybody to leave a public comment, and we're going to walk you through how to do that, because the interactive map can be kind of confusing. So we'll show you how to make some good comments. on that map too. So do we want to start with some bills, because we have a really, really important bill being heard today at 10:30 a.m. in the Appropriations and Budget Transportation Subcommittee meeting. And we'd love for you to get some last minute emails and calls in right now to support that bill. So the bill is 3758, and it has to do with improving the just compensation law in Oklahoma. And we are bumping it to 150% of fair market value or replacement value. And that's important because right now fair market value can be totally gamed with the system, and it becomes an adversarial negotiation between the OTA or between the condemning agency and the citizen. So right now we'd like to set the minimum limits where the negotiation has to start. And this is a best practice from across the United States. And what Danny Sterling did was he narrowed the scope of this bill from all condemning agencies to state takes. So that takes out the municipal league and the cities, and this just focuses on eminent domain taken by state agencies. And he thought that that would be more politically expedient to get through the system. And so while, of course, we think that broad eminent domain reform is truly needed throughout the United States, we understand the power that the Chamber of Commerce and the Municipal League has in our lobbying groups. And so we are hopeful that by limiting this just compensation to state entity takes, that we'll be able to move it through. And once we get it to the floor, we imagine that we'll have wide support for this in both the House and the Senate. But today, if you could call right now or email the A and B committee. I'm going to put that up here. I'll put the A and B committee up. It's Nicole Miller is the chair, and the vice chair is Jason Blair. And then the members are Nick Archer, Josh Cantrell, Denise Crosswhite-Hayter, Eddie Dempsey, Neil Hayes, Annie Mentz, and Jacob Rosekrantz. And you can get on my Substack, or you can pause this or go back and see all the emails and the phone calls. If everybody can get on the phone and call to support this bill, it's going to be heard in 20 minutes. So we got some people watching it to see what's going to happen. But we really need this one to get through because, in the House, there's 2 committees. So this is the first of 2 committees. If we can get this through the first one, that'd be a huge hurdle. And we have a very similar bill that we'll talk about in a little bit that's in the Senate. It's going to Judiciary, and Senator Grellner and Senator Sacchieri are running these bills for us, and we need to get them heard by Senator Howard. But I guess before we get off this, we were sent some talking points. Do you want to, Kelly, you want to talk about go back and forth on those talking points that we were given?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's go ahead and pull that. Let me take this off over here, and if I can find it. So this is the white paper that the OTA supplied to Danny Sterling's office with their concerns about this bill 3558 or 3758. And you can see it's kind of called. I'm going to have to zoom in real fast so they can read what it says.
Yeah, I'll read you. How about we go bullet by bullet?
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, I'll read you the first bullet. So the first bullet, no, you need to think about this with the fact that when people give you their facts, they're thinking about, the OTA is thinking about their propaganda and all the talking points that people don't want to hear. So I'm going to read you what they said, and then Kelly and I are going to talk about what the real facts are, because that's how the Oklahomans for Responsible Transportation roll. We just speak in facts, and we have retired CPAs and all these other people that have done this amazing work to tell you what's actually happening. So this is the propaganda that they sent the committee member. So they want to stop this bill because they think it's going to cost them too much money. So they said The OTA fiscal impact from this bill would be $184 million. This would result in a 3% toll increase to OTA's network. The bill requires condemning agencies to compensate property owners for the greater of two approaches of valuing the property being acquired. And then 150% of the fair market value, and then a comparable replacement property. Both calculations were performed for every acquisition, and the initial offer will be the greater of the two. So with that being known, they said that their fiscal impact is $184 million, which would result in a 3% toll increase to OTA's network. So how did they come up with this number? They provided no number of houses, no median offer, nothing. So that was bullet point 1. And I guess the main point, and I'll just start, and Kelly, we have a lot to say about this, but the main point is it's not necessary for the authority to increase the toll rates 3% to fund an increase in purchase price of land acquired through eminent domain, because they have a slush fund, and they've already have money in a surplus general fund that's not oversight, doesn't have any oversight by the legislature. So there's no justification for this $184 million increase that would result in a 3% toll increase to OTA's network. And plus, I guess, if you want to talk about real facts, the Title 69 Statute 1711 strictly limits toll increases to fund maintenance, repairs, operations. So the fact that they want to increase tolls to pay for the homeowners, the increase the homeowners take doesn't make any sense, because if there's not enough money in the project, then they shouldn't do the project in the first place. But go ahead, Kelly. I've got more to say about that.
Well, so my take on it is, besides what you've said, is also it's the cost of doing business. You know, you factor it into your budget, what it's going to cost to pay landowners. I don't think it's unreasonable for landowners to be properly compensated. And I'm having a hard time getting my head around the fact that they are not looking for ways to increase compensation for landowners. Because one thing I would like for people to think about here is that, you know, the engineering companies, the contractors, the construction worker, the construction companies, the attorneys, the bond underwriter, the bond holders, everyone in this project is in it for profit. Can you just imagine if the Turnpike Authority told the construction companies, hey, look, we'll pay for your materials. Okay, so whatever we think those materials are going to cost, that's what we're going to pay. Now, whether or not that's what you actually pay for your materials to construct this or not, you know, hey, whatever, but we're going to pay you what we think they should cost. But we're not going to pay you for your labor. We're not going to pay you for your time. But that's exactly what happens with the landowners. They say, hey, look, here's your house, your tangible asset. We will pay you fair market value. And that is whatever we think it is. And that's all we're going to pay you for. So the time involved in packing your stuff, or doing research on finding a new home, or visiting new homes, or calling the utility companies to, you know, turn off and turn on your service. All of those things that a landowner would put into moving, all of that time is 100% uncompensated. And I think that's unfair. So anyway, so back to my original point, which was that it's the cost of doing business. You know, they don't question how much it costs, what, you know, the engineering companies say it's going to cost this amount of money for us to run this program for you. They're like, okay, that's what it's going to cost. We actually have open records requests from the outside counsel, where they're telling the attorney general, hey, look, we'd like to use this attorney for, you know, to represent us in this litigation, because they have expertise in it. And literally all they do is they say, this is how much the attorney told us they're going to charge us per hour. And the attorney general just signs off on it. There was no negotiating whatsoever. So that's just the cost of doing business on their part. That's how they view that. And then another thing I'd like to point out is that if you guys remember, back in, I think it was like December of 2022, So almost a year after they announced Access Oklahoma, the Turnpike Authority came out and said, oops, we under budgeted by 60% of what this is going to cost. And so we went from a $5 billion project or program to a $3.2 billion program. That added an additional $3.2 billion. And then they said that's going to lead to some toll increases, okay? 10% toll increase for $3.2 billion. But yet $184 million, well, that's going to lead to 3% increase in tolls. Like, the math isn't mathing there.
Yep.
How can, and why are they okay increasing their budget by $3.2 billion? In their mind, that was the cost of doing business, and that was worth it to them to continue. It did not make the project infeasible. But yet this $184 million that might more properly compensate landowners, that's just going to break the bank. It's just too much.
It doesn't make sense. And it's not, I mean, they pretty much said that homeowners are being asked to subsidize their expansion through below replacement compensation because they can't get their stuff together. And they're just making it up. And they didn't say how many houses they were taking and what that was based on and what comps and all this stuff. But you shouldn't, our homeowners who are being forced out, they don't want to leave. If they're being forced, they shouldn't be asked to subsidize a project that's never on budget because the OTA thinks they don't have enough money. Where when they raise those tolls over the last couple of years, they've had tens of millions of dollars in surplus money from those fees that they use to do the access program while they're waiting on bonds.
Yeah, so this is kind of what I was talking about. We're forced to participate, and look at all the contractors, construction companies. They're all in it for profit, and they're there voluntarily. If they don't like the terms, so they say, hey, look, I'm not going to make enough money off of this. They go, well, you know what? I'm not going to bid on this project. Or, nope, I'm not going to, we're not going to participate. We don't have to. But the landowners are forced, and I just find this so hard to understand how they can justify trying to get out of paying. Why are they trying to avoid paying the people who are giving up the most? And one other thing I really, really want to point out here is that we are the only party in this project that is considered to be making a sacrifice. A sacrifice. Think about how many times you hear that. Your sacrifice is for the greater good. I don't want to make a sacrifice. Make it worth my time to move. If you're going to bump me out of my house, then make it worth my time. Just like you're making it worth the engineering company's time to take on your project. Just like you're making it worth the construction company's time to take on your project. I don't understand why they are so against, trying to do right by landowners. So one other thing really fast about this increase, the $184 million. Think about that number. It sounds like a lot when you think of it in our terms as an individual, but the Turnpike Authority is supposedly going to pay for those frontage roads through Cleveland County along the east-west connector, and not the whole thing. But we kind of did our own little estimate, and it's close to more like $200 million just to build the roads. And they get literally nothing out of that, supposedly. But they're more than happy to offer up $200 million worth of infrastructure to Cleveland County. And they haven't said that's going to raise the tolls. So why can they do something free for Cleveland County that's not going to raise the tolls, but they can't add additional compensation to landowners without raising tolls? So I'd like everybody to ask our legislators that. How come they're not going to raise tolls for the frontage roads?
Yeah. And then OTA went on to complain about our definitions of just compensation, that we wanted to give a comparable replacement property, and we wanted to start the base negotiation at 150% of fair market value. And they said that would significantly increase the acquisition costs. But our rebuttal is eminent domain is not an ordinary market transaction, right? It's a forced taking. So the premium accounts for that reality. And then many states already have it. It's nothing new. We're not making it up. And it is, like you said, the cost of doing business. And then if you read through their talking points, they already acknowledge that they negotiated settlements often range from 100 to 200% of fair market value. So our bill simply establishes a floor, not a ceiling of where they start. Because right now, and Kelly, you can talk to this too, it requires the homeowners, they're treating all homeowners differently. So they're giving some homeowners 100% offer, maybe some homeowners 150% offer based on maybe shoddy comparisons. But then they're forcing the homeowner to negotiate. Well, some people don't like to negotiate. Some people don't have the resources to know how to negotiate. And so this bill is making it an equal playing field for all citizens, that the condemning agencies at the state level must give a minimum of a replacement value or 150% of fair market value, which we think is a fairer way than what's being done now. And then again, if they routinely negotiate above 100%, then this 150% simply ensures consistency and fairness. I don't see the problem, but then again, we've been fighting for homeowners for 4 years.
I mean, my first thought to that was, why in the world are they compensating some landowners at 100% and other landowners at 200%? Why are all landowners not compensated equally? And I don't mean dollar amount, I mean percentage wise. Why in the world do they think that's okay? And that is just a testament to, you know, how they view this ethically. They don't. It's not ethical at all. They're completely fine. They think that is normal to offer some people, quote unquote, 100% fair market value and others 200%. So I told Amy after I saw this paper, maybe we should cap it. Maybe we should start the negotiations at 200%.
Yeah.
Since they're willing to do 200%. Now, landowners, please take note. We should distribute this far and wide to every one of our landowners that might be impacted by this, and print this off and present that to the Turnpike Authority. And it says right there in your own words that you compensate some landowners 200%. And if you do it for somebody else, you need to do it for me too. So I want my 200%. That's what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah, I know. They just walk right into it, I think, on that one. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And then they were hesitant about our comparable replacement property definition. And they said it was redundant with appraisal comps. But I think what they forgot is that fair market value measures what a hypothetical buyer would pay, and comparable replacement measures what it actually costs the homeowner to go get the same house, a functionally similar property in the same community. And so they're not identical concepts. And the reason why fair market value often fails, because it doesn't account for unique site features, replacement scarcity, increased construction or land prices, and functional relocation costs. So the bill limits replacement comparisons to the same or nearest comparable community to prevent inflated regional comparisons. And it's a homeowner protection, not an appraisal duplication, meaning that, yeah, you could probably get a comparable 30 miles away, but why are we forcing our folks to move out of the community to get the same thing for the price the OTA wants to pay? They should be willing, and they should be forced to, by law, to pay what it costs to move within your community. So we're not forcing 600 families to have a mass exodus out of our community because they can't afford to stay.
So one thing I will say about this right here, and I might need to revisit this just to make sure that we're doing it. But so the appraisers obviously have certifications, and I can't remember what it stands for, but it's USPAP, and that is the Universal Standards for appraisals. And it is very specific and outlines exactly how an appraiser is supposed to appraise what they can confer or refer to as unique properties or special properties. And that would be like estates or a farm or a commercial business, because those are not, sometimes they are not easily found within your community. You might be the only, business or farm or whatever that is whatever it is that you have in your community at all. And so the uniform or whatever the USPAP standards tell them that with such properties as this, they are supposed to look outside of the community to find comparables so that you do get a fair shake, because you might have to relocate somewhere else. But I hope our bill is not limiting that, and it shouldn't be. And that's kind of what I was saying to our group internally yesterday, was that appraisers are going to have to look outside of our community for some comps, because that's what they're told to do, and their standards require that they do that. So I don't know that necessarily, I don't think what they're saying here is that it's going to limit them to only looking within the Norman community. I don't think that's true. I don't think that the
No, that's not what the bill does, but it says that the OTA has to pay to find them a comparable house or comparable property.
Yes. So I think this is supposed to do the greater of whichever. So whether, anyway, I think it's fine, but I just thought that was interesting that they tried to say that this bill is going to limit them to only using comparables in our community, and that they won't be able to look outside of that. And that's simply just not true as far as I'm concerned. I'm not an attorney, so don't take it as, legal advice. But if you look at their codes and the standards that they're supposed to follow, they'll either be out of compliance if they only look within Norman or only look within your community, or they're going to do what they're supposed to do and they'll find comps outside.
Yeah, and then they went on to say that the current just compensation laws in Oklahoma allows flexibility in negotiations. Well, the problem with flexibility is that it creates inconsistency, and it allows homeowners to be treated differently. And so some homeowners receive a strong negotiated settlements, others don't. So this bill, again, gives a predictable minimum, transparent valuation methods, and equal treatment across property owners. And I guess, constitutional rights should not depend on your ability to negotiate. So I thought that was kind of a weak talking point, as is their fifth one, that partial acquisition damages would be limited. And it doesn't change anything, except it establishes a structured baseline. So you can, if OTA currently negotiates a higher remainder damages, nothing prohibits continuing to do so, but it just establishes that baseline. And then there was one more I thought they had. Oh, okay. So at the very end, they gave that toll increase example on the Turner. And they said the toll increase on the Turner would go from $5.40 to $5.60. And then, so, I mean, it's totally a moot point. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about. So the OTA must fund enhanced, that assumes what they're talking about, that they have to fund their enhanced compensation through toll increases, and that no reallocation of their surplus revenues is warranted, and no spending oops, sorry, my dog just went crazy. No shuffling of their funds is necessary. And I would say their assumptions are not supported by our financial review. So they did that because no one wants to hear that tolls are going up or anything's going up, taxes are going up, but it doesn't even, the numbers don't number like you were saying. They don't compute.
They don't. And do you by any chance remember at the interim study, they said how many homes would be taken and how many parcels would be impacted, but I can't remember exactly what that was. I assume they're applying this $184 million to the entire access program. So it makes me wonder, how many parcels are they talking about? So we just did a little bit of our own mathing, and I want to say the person that I was talking with, we guesstimated 500 homes. And if you divided that 184 million out amongst, the 500 landowners or whatever it was, I should probably do my math on this again first before I tell you, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway. Whatever it was that we came up with, it was going to equal like $260,000 per landowner if this really was going to increase it. And I said, well, that's real interesting because I haven't seen an offer come through yet for a landowner that was much more than $260,000.
Yep.
So anyway, I just, but
Yeah,
we're the ones breaking their bank.
Yeah.
Like the people are losing their house and you're paying them pennies.
Mhm.
And then you're complaining about maybe having to give them a few more pennies. Like it's sickening.
Yeah, and I mean, you and I were going to look in this and do a little write-up about this. And if they paid everybody 150% of fair market value or replacement value, and the people were made whole and didn't lose their shirt when they had to go find another, every time you move, I mean, we all know this, when you move, you lose money because you got to replace your fencing but in a take, it's a forced take. They should be replacing everything you have. Okay. The burden should not fall on the displaced homeowner to have to negotiate that. And we talked about the fact that if the OTA paid that amount, pennies on the dollar, to stay out of court, they would actually save money. They spend way more money paying lawyers to take their homeowners to court than they do just give the people an extra $25,000 if that's what they need. And they're fighting over these little tiny amounts under $100,000. And yet when you look at the lawyers' fees in their payment registries, they're like $3-4 million. I mean, it's so out of proportion that when I just laughed when I read these talking points, because again, they're taking money from the displaced homeowner, giving it to their lawyer friends so they don't have to pay the displaced homeowner any more money, when in reality, they could literally they could split the lawyer's fees up 300 ways and give everybody an extra $100,000 and be even,
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, if they just wouldn't fight the landowners, they would save $184 million in litigation fees.
Exactly.
It would be more than a wash. Like they would come out ahead, but they don't care. That's the point. And that's what I hope people understand, is that hope that's what our legislators understand, is that the principle for them is to fight the landowner every step of the way, because they know that if they ever give an inch, then it's over for them. I guess that's what they think in their mind. Really, we just need to be fairly compensated. People are tired of being trampled on and put in a position where we're out of pocket money because of something they threw in our lap.
Yeah, I agree.
It's ridiculous. You spun this problem up, now fix it.
So we hope that everyone listening and everyone that's reading the Substack will have contacted this committee and told them what you think about it, because this is honestly common sense, eminent domain reform. This is nothing crazy. This is, if you want to take a property, you need to be able to pay for it. You can't just give all your other buddies the money, like your lawyer friends and your bond people friend and your contractors and your engineering consultants. Like, why don't you pay the people that you're stealing their home from well? And in this state that both parties run on private property rights, I have a hard time understanding why people would have a problem with this. And we're hearing that people don't. And so, but we still need people to call up there and make it, because the OTA has a paid liaison. That's what he gets paid to do. He gets paid to be up there. We're all volunteers, and we're trying to rebut this on the weekend to get it back to the committee members. We need everybody in the community to contact the committee members. It'll take you 2 minutes and say, please vote for this. It's really important. That's all you have to say. You can call, talk to the legislative assistant, say, I'm a citizen of Cleveland County. Thank you for representing me on this committee. I want you to vote yes for this particular bill. 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're excited about this one. I mean, this would be awesome if we can get this one.
Really,
then we have
because
we have a mirror bill in the Senate.
Very good.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the next one we need your help with. We need your help with another really important one. This Thursday, we have a civil judiciary meeting. And we already have those bottom two bills, HB 3967, the Landowner Bill of Rights, that passed through committee last week. And then House Bill 3968, that was defining public use, that passed through committee last week. So we have to go through one more committee, but that won't be till next week. But the first one, that every condemning agency should have to have a necessity hearing and prove to a court that they are truly doing a project for public use. And that is House Bill 3453. And we need to email or call to support this bill and get it heard. This is our last week to get this one heard. We have this bill also in the Senate, but we really want to get this through on the House side so we can work it from both sides and hopefully come up with a compromise in the middle. So please call. This is the House Civil Judiciary. You've got Colin Dool, Bob Culver, Jared Deck, Chris Kennedy, Mike Osborne, Susan Schreiber, Chris Sneed, Preston Stinson, and Tammy West. Just send an email and BCC them all and say, hey, I really like this bill. You need to support it. Please put it on the committee hearing, the committee agenda for this Thursday at 10:30 a.m. So it's super important. We're super psyched. We got 2 of the 3 passed, but we'd really like to be 100% in this committee. Okay. And then the House Transportation bill. We have one that's being heard this Wednesday. So this bill, House Bill 3757, is our sunset bill. So in Title 69, this is now Title 69 based strictly on the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority. They have agreed that they need to sunset or remove 17 of their location authorizations out of their existing 35. So we've written a sunset bill for every one of these 4 years. And this year is the first time that we're getting a hearing. And we need everybody to call and support this. The OTA is actually, they tell us in committee, in meetings, and with 2 reports that they put out in 2024 that they're in support. And Director Joa Kelly told Kelly and I in a meeting 2 weeks ago that there is no further location authorizations in statute right now that are feasible turnpike routes. And so we need to clean it up because these authorizations have been in statute for 70 years. 70 years. That is insane. So our sunset says if you get a location authorization and your legislators agree, if you don't build it within 7 years, it gets removed again. You have to go back for reauthorization. And this would just stop the nonsense that's going on. And it would have stopped the nonsense of the Southern Extension because they wouldn't have been able to use location authorization number 28. That wasn't really the Southern Extension. It was really the H.E. Bailey Spur, but they wouldn't have been able to use it because it would have been correctly defined and noted in statute what it was used for. And so what we're doing with this bill is sunsetting all the old authorizations and labeling every existing authorization what it actually is. And we like it. And the OTA has nothing bad to say about it so far. I mean, I'm sure they do in closed door hearings, but publicly they agree. So call or email the House Transportation Committee and tell them you really support this bill. That's House Bill 3757. We have one more week to get this next one in. House Bill 3149 is Annie Mentz's certified real notice to affected property owners. We've been running this for 4 years. We'd like you to email and call and ask for a hearing. Our ending cross-pledging bill, which was great. It was so complicated, but it was great. It was denied a hearing. So we want you to know that if you're in Ronnie John's district, if he's up for re-election and someone's running against him, maybe you ask some hard questions because a lot of our really good bills have been denied in transportation over the years. And then the next one, House Bill 3971, is not our bill, but we still support it. And it's removing the right of condemnation from the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority. So you can email and call to ask for hearing. I doubt they're going to, if our cross-pledging bill got denied, I'm fairly certain that the last one would be denied as well. But that's it for the House. After this week, if we don't have a bill through the first committee, then it's dead. And then we just have the ones that have passed through, and we have another 3 weeks to get them through the second committee, and then it would go to the House floor, and then of course over to the Senate side. Okay, so just quickly, the Senate Judiciary, we have until March 3rd to get things heard in the Senate, to get on the agenda. And we have 4 really good bills in Judiciary. So we're hitting it hard in Title 27, eminent domain reform. So we've got Senator Grellner has 2 bills for us. One's the definition of public use, which is the same one that Annie Mentz just got passed through. And then his second one is requiring necessity hearings of condemners. And that is also, we're trying to get that bill heard in the House. And then Senator Sacchieri has the just compensation bill that we just spent 30 minutes talking about, which is 150% of fair market value or replacement value. And that's the Senator Sterling or Representative Sterling's bill in the House. And then Senator Standridge is running one for us, Landowner Bill of Rights, to remove the land banking clause and put us back to 2024 before they, the dark money in Representative Kennedy's group put in that state agencies are allowed to land bank, which is totally awful. I mean, that's like communist language. And he put it in and it slid through in the last minute. So if you could call or email the Senate Judiciary Committee and ask them to hear these 4 bills, that would be awesome. And if you need talking points, I'm going to put out a Substack and you just copy the talking points and send them right in. If you can send that this week, that would be great. And I think there's one more that we'll talk about. So this is transportation. Transportation in the Senate has been awful for us. We have not gotten a bill heard in several years. We have, look at all these bills we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 9 bills. Okay, maybe we're going to get one of these bills heard. And the one that I think that has the best chance, because it doesn't really stop the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority from doing anything. It just tells the judiciary that they have to adjudicate on legislative intent and not give broad agency deference. And that's Senate Bill 1860 for Standridge. So it would be great if we had a bunch of people emailing Darcy Yeck and Avery Fricks, who are the chairs of the Senate Aeronautics and Transportation Committee, and telling them, hey, the people want to have a hearing on some of these bills. Please pick one of these 9. They're definitely not going to put out the end cross pledging. They're not going to put the debt ceiling up. They're not going to put up requiring municipality input. They're probably not going to put up the plan for orderly dissolution and disbandment. They should put up making the turnpike free for Oklahoma citizens and law enforcement, but they won't. And then there's an interesting one that OTA cannot charge tolls on turnpikes with less than 25,000 average annual daily traffic. So Kelly, that would mean that they couldn't charge tolls on 9 of their 12 turnpikes, which we think is awesome. But and that's like common sense too. And then there's an establishing a legislative oversight board, but I got to be honest with you, I'm not into making more government, so I'm not really a fan of that bill. But this is a complete mess. The leadership up there is a complete mess. But all we can do is keep calling, and we're making so much progress in the judiciary and with other senators, other than the ones that are on the Transportation Committee. The leadership, I should say, the committee members are fine. It's the leadership that stops the bills from being heard. So if you really want to get involved, you don't have a lot of time, please spend 5 minutes a day just emailing and calling these people for us. It really makes a difference because they literally count how many people call in support of a bill and not in support of a bill. It's really important.
And don't forget to mention that because they are part of this committee that represents the entire state, it doesn't matter if you are in their district or not. This information that you're sharing and this opinion that you're sharing on transportation applies to them because they are part of the Transportation Committee or whatever committee that they're on that represents the whole state. So
yeah,
don't take that as a no. One thing I would like to throw up here is this. So any landowners who are finding themselves stuck working with the OTA or ODOT right now, Oh man, that is another rabbit hole I could go down. We should do a special podcast an ODOT project that has to do with the turnpike. But anyway, so if you are a landowner that's working with OTA right now, I want you guys to know that I put a link in the comment section for this procedure manual. This is from ODOT. So you can't actually say this is what you have to follow. The OTA does not have to follow this, but they can follow this. And this is just a really good, it's like over 200 pages, I think, that ODOT has published on their website, and it tells the appraisers exactly how to calculate things like setback and highest and best use, and how to look for comps and what comps are, acceptable and that sort of thing. And it's a wonderful, very detailed report on how there's manual on how they're supposed to do these things. So I would encourage any landowner to check out that link, download the PDF. I actually have it printed off, and it's huge. This is only the first section, but there's some really, really good stuff in there that will help you make sure that the Turnpike Authority is doing it the right way. And even if they don't have to follow this guide, you can at least point it out to them and say, look, this is best practice according to ODOT. I would like for you to follow that. It's one thing when you just come in and you're just making up, oh, I want you to give me compensation for this because I think this is relevant. And it's another thing if you can come in with a paper that says, look, this is how another transportation agency in our state does this. And if it works for them, it should work for you too. So it just gives you a little bit more justification behind what you're asking for. And it's also a good way to check and make sure that your appraisal was done properly. Because some may not be being done properly. I would encourage all landowners to talk with your neighbor and ask them if you can see their appraisal report also. Make sure that they're not just copy pasting and just basically essentially duplicating your appraisal and your neighbor's appraisal, and then basically calling it the same, because yours should be different than your neighbor's. So anyway, just a few little landowner tips there for you guys. And I think that's about all I really had in there.
Yeah, great. That's great information for everybody. And the more educated we are, the more we can negotiate from a place of facts and data and less from fear. And that's really when people feel like they have some kind of authority over what happens to them, is when they understand the process and can negotiate from an educated position. So that's great. Yeah. So we put up some links. We've talked about this last week, but remember that the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority has a public comment on their abomination of a 5-stack interchange at Indian Hills. And that comment period ends February 20th. So please leave a comment. And then we were going to talk a little bit about this ODOT public comment on Indian Hills on I-35 between Indian Hills and Moore. So they have a study in that corridor about what they're doing with the frontage roads, or making some of them one-way frontage roads, and then all the interchanges and the lighting differences. And so there's a way to leave comments that too. So I put the ODOT public comment links in the comments as well. But I think, do we want to share the screen and show them the map? And so I can show them how to put the comments on. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think we should. And
So
actually,
Kelly,
the corridor goes from Robinson Street through, I believe, 4th Street in Moore.
Yeah.
You'll see that on the map, though. When you pull it up, we'll be able to see that.
Okay.
And while you're pulling that up, I am going to look for some other little tidbit that I think was interesting.
So when you
click the blue
oops, this is the actual video. When you go to that link for the interactive storybook, you'll see that you've got all these little green dots all over the place. And you can zoom in and check out. This is West Tecumseh, and you're down into Rock Creek. And they should have a little slider that allows you to go back and forth. Oh, here it is, swiping. So if you swipe one way, the modifications go away. And if you swipe the other way, you can see now, if you want to leave a comment, for example, where do we want to leave a comment? On Indian Hills. So let's go up here. So we're going to zoom in. And so you can see what they're changing. And you can click here. This is just a comment that was left. That was my comment. I left that one. But if you want to leave another comment, click down here to leave a comment. It pops up. And then you can put it anywhere. You can move it, and you're going to say, where's your comment point? So you put the point anywhere you want it, and then you leave a comment. So you can put your name in, and you can leave a comment like, why did ODOT spend $16 million of taxpayer money on this bridge replacement project, or $16 million of money for right-of-way acquisition on this bridge replacement project, and now an additional $33 million to help OTA achieve a 5-stack interchange. No turnpike or something like that. You can write whatever you want.
Can I actually just say, I think it would actually be best if we do not include the words turnpike or OTA. So you can still get your point across by not using those terms, because what I think is going to happen, I suspect ODOT, so ODOT is required by the Federal Highway Administration to record every comment, and then they're supposed to reply to that. And they have to put together a report with all of these comments and their replies and submit it to the Federal Highway Administration. And I think this is a great opportunity for citizens to air some of this dirty laundry to the Federal Highway Administration through the public comment. But what I suspect is going to happen is ODOT is going to take anything that says turnpike or refers to the turnpike specifically, and they are going to omit that, because they're going to say that that was a comment that should have been sent to the OTA because it's not about their project. I think they're going to try to look for ways to omit turnpike stuff from this report. So I think if we can really try to strategize a way to frame your comment so that it 100% applies to ODOT and is holding them accountable without mentioning the turnpike. That just popped in my head just now. So I think that's something that we should probably try to keep in mind, because I think they'll try, like I actually left a comment on Highway 9 the other day when there was a fatality down there, which is obviously out of the study area. And I know that it won't be included, but it just occurred to me that if they can exclude any dots that are left outside of the study area, then they can probably exclude comments that they deem are outside of the scope of what they're looking for. So I think it's fair to say, why did ODOT spend $16 million on property acquisition, and knowing that they were not going to need this property or whatever it is that we want to put there? I could go on and on for that one, but without maybe using the Turnpike Authority in that.
Yeah, you can leave comments anywhere. So I just left a comment on longer on-off ramps, because if anyone's ever tried to get on at 12th Street, where's that? Right here? Is this 12th? This is a ridiculous interchange. So you could say, Oh, that's that's 4th Street. There's 12th. That you almost, I don't even think I'm going to let my 16-year-old ever try to get on the highway here. This is ridiculous. You have to, there's no merging space. But anyway, you can go through here and just leave a comment, click the comment button on the bottom, your comment point, put your comment point wherever you need it to be. And then you can leave a comment, what you want to say about that. We hope that you will do that. And if you don't want to do that, you can come back here and just leave a comment. Let's see, submit a comment online here, and then it'll allow you to leave your name. And you don't have to fill out all of these. It's optional. Personal information is optional, so you can give a fake name, a fake address, or you don't even have to fill it out, and then put a comment in there. It's important to do that.
You can put anonymous. You can put, I mean, if it requires you to fill something in the blank, just make something up. On the address, put 123 Main Street.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So please do that. The OTA and the ODOT. What do you want me to do?
Can you zoom back in on that map?
Sure. So this is 4th Street.
Can you go to like make the whole thing again so you can look at the comments, like, or you can't see the comments, but okay. And then can you zoom in on, I think it is, go south just a little bit. I'm trying to remember. I think
19.
Yeah. Okay. Now zoom in right there, like on where the off ramp will dump you off onto the frontage road on the southbound side.
Down here?
Zoom in, zoom in real close on that. Okay, I want you to think about this. There are cars exiting the highway at what? 60 miles an hour, probably? And they are going to be merging with traffic that is that's also entering the frontage road from a complete stop right there at those driveways. Why in the world would we want to put traffic that is 50, 60 miles an hour merging with traffic that is at 0 miles an hour? I just can't. I'm not really sure what they were thinking there. And then also another thing that I think is interesting is they have these, like, I don't know if this is the right term or not, but I think it's like a throughput or something, but they, under these interchanges, under the bridges, they have, so if you're traveling on the frontage road, it appears to me as though you can, instead of going up to the light at the stoplight, if you wanted to stay on the frontage road, you can actually go under the bridge and
right
stay
here
on the frontage road and avoid the intersection. Now, while I think this is genius, I think that's great. I love that. But my question is this. I thought we didn't have room under the bridges to widen I-35.
Oh, but Kelly, you make too much sense. I mean, they totally have room to widen I-35. The only thing they would have to do in some spots on the old bridge overpasses is move the foundations out a little bit, make them a little wider, because those are the pinch points. Mm-hmm. But every bridge contractor in Oklahoma would be loving their life if they had to do that.
Because they're going, and another thing that I take issue with is go to Tecumseh.
Okay, hold on. Tecumseh. Okay. Yep.
And let's take a look at this mess we've got going on here. Now, when did they do this Tecumseh Bridge overhaul? Do you remember when they did the most recent, where they redid the bridge and they,
Is this the one that has the lights on it at night?
No, Tecumseh. So okay. Where the hospital is.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Going into University North Park, going into the TIF area. Okay. Zoom in on that. If I understand correctly, it looks to me like they're going to completely redo that interchange. So where you normally go under the bridge and then you circle up around, all of that work that they just did is going to be completely trashed. And now we're going to have a completely different on-off. And so if you want to exit Tecumseh, you're going to have to enter the frontage road exit like over a mile before you need to get off.
I have a question though. Like, what is the purpose of this under thing right here? Like, there's nothing there. Like, why do you need to do that? Why don't you just stay on the highway?
That is a very good question. I don't
There's
really know.
There's nothing
I
there.
assume they're trying to alleviate traffic on I-35, but who knows? They haven't explained that. And I wish I had my graphic ready to go so I could show you guys, but I didn't realize we were going to talk about this stuff today. But so this I-35 corridor study was project number, what was it? I think it was 31443. That was the job piece number through ODOT. So write that down, 31443. You guys can look it up online. Go to ODOT. Oh, actually on ODOT's, the public comment page, or this, whatever the virtual open house page, I think you can click on the previous, actually, yeah, let's do that. Let's walk through this real fast. I think people will find this interesting. You need to know it. Go scroll down a little bit and see if you can find, go ahead and click on the, click on the current one.
Oh,
so just scroll up a little and up one more. There you go. And then from here, I think we can find the previous. So, see right there, it says somewhere down here, maybe scroll down a little bit. It'll say, go to the previous ones. There's the 2021 open house. So go ahead and click on that 2021 open house. And I want you to click on the virtual open house display boards. Yep, that's the right one. Okay, now scroll down to the one that shows where we are in the process. And I think it's going to be like second to the last one, or maybe the last one. Oh, there we are. Next steps. That one right there. And see if you can zoom in on that real close so we can see the whole thing. I want you guys to notice that. So this was, keep in mind, this public comment open house was, they were accepting comments from November the 15th of 2021 through December 10th, I believe, of 2021. So this corridor study open house was open at the same time that Tim Gatz stood up there in front of OTA board and said, hey, we'd like to do this long range plan, which he knew was not going, I mean, it just baffles me that they were in the middle of taking public comment about Indian Hills Interchange, the bridge, and yet they just completely disregarded it. So anyway, okay, so back to what I was going to say though, is if you look right here, it says that, so everything with the orange dot is a public comment. That's when we're supposed to have these public meetings. So they said that they were here, evaluate options. And then it says they're going to conduct operational analysis, and then they'll hold a third public meeting. And then look at what's below that third public meeting. Select preferred option. Okay, so we're supposed to have one more meeting, and then we're going to select the option. But now if you go back to the current open house, let's go back there. And we scroll up and it says, what's the purpose of this? I think if you click on the, scroll down just a smidge, and we'll click on one of these little things. So it says the presentation script, or maybe it's in the frequently asked questions. I can't remember which one it is. I'll know here in just a second. Purpose of the study, and then keep scrolling down. It might actually be in that other one. Oh, but here it says, okay, go back up one more. Okay, study overview. Okay, so it says right here in the third paragraph, ODOT has already held 2 public meetings. The first meeting was in April 2017, where ODOT introduced the study and asked the public input to help find problems and possible solutions. The second meeting was in November of 2021, where ODOT shared updates, showed early design ideas, and asked for more feedback. Based on what people shared, ODOT and the project team chose option 1XB as the best plan to move forward. And so I think if you scroll down a little bit more, they're going to say that they're holding this public meeting to share the option they chose. But if you remember what the last public meeting said, that there would be another public meeting before they decided what the option was going to be. But
That's
yet
real
here we
confusing.
are. See, look right there. It says they were going to hold a third public meeting and then select the preferred option. So I think this is a great comment for people to ask ODOT in the public, or submit this comment and say, why did the public not get the third meeting and then choose the preferred option? Because that's what we were told last time. So why did that change? Well, I can tell you why it changed, because they changed the scope of this project, and that's another story for another day. But we should have actually had a public meeting discussing the scope change back in 2022 when they turned it from this, Indian Hills Bridge project over to a 5-stack interchange. Again, another that'll be a special podcast we'll have to put together one day.
Hey, look what happened. House Bill 3758 passed.
Yeah.
So that's the one on just compensation. It passed 5-4.
That's awesome.
So we'll have to go and check who voted for us and who didn't, and then we're gonna hopefully get it through the next one. So that's great. Representative Sterling is fantastic. If you're in his district, please do vote for him again this year. He is a really, really, really great representative, and he knows how to get things heard and how get things pushed through. He's done so much work for his constituents, not just on our interest, which is eminent domain reform and the turnpike reform, but on everything. So he's very good.
It's heartfelt. I mean, it's genuine, because if you guys remember back in 2022 when this first was announced, he didn't wait to hear what the public had to say. He went straight to the media and said, why are my constituents telling me about this project when I'm on the transportation committee and I didn't know this was happening? So he was upset with them right from the get-go, and it's been the same ever since, because he saw through the baloney, back in 2022. So he's not just trying to appease us. This means something to him.
Yeah, and this bill was his baby, because when I think everybody knows this story already, but when he watched the documentary last June, when we invited him to the premiere, he came running up to me afterwards and says, Amy, I want to run a bill on just compensation. We have to fix this problem. Like, that is the first thing he said. So the just compensation thing was that's what he wanted. And that's when you know that it can go far, is when the actual legislator takes on the project and they really feel strongly about it. They're willing to work hard through all the shaking the hands and talking about it and rebutting the OTA talking points. And so he's done a great job. We hope we can get his bill to the floor and then over to the Senate. And that would be, then we really have to need constituent help, because the Senate is a little bit more difficult for us right now because of leadership. But that's awesome. That's a good way to start our week.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, I feel like the tide's turning, knock on wood, but I think this is going to be a big year for us. I think we've got lots of exciting things coming up. So yeah, we've got lots of things in the works. We're still waiting on the audit, which I think it should be soon. There's no way to know for sure, but hopefully. I mean, it's been a couple of years. I know they're doing a very thorough job, though. So again, we'll give them as much time as they need, but hopefully that's coming soon. And then anything else we have in the works you want to talk about, Amy?
Well, I just want to say that our 4-year anniversary is coming up for Pike Off OTA on February 23rd, I think.
22nd. Oh, well.
22nd, February 22nd is the announcement, and a little bit later. But so we'll do something fun on the podcast next week. Celebrate that 4 years, and we just want to thank everybody for sticking with us for 4 years, and the constant calling to the legislators, the constant emails to the attorney general and the district attorney, and even the governor, who probably never reads anything. But I think that people are starting to understand that we know what we're talking about, and there is a problem. It's just maybe this is our year where we can get some permanent changes in place so our kids never have to go through this.
I hope so. So, part of what Pike Off has been trying to do through this whole process of, part of the goal of our organization is to share the people's stories. And now that we're coming up on this 4-year mark, I feel like this is it's been a long time. And I would love for people to send us comments, email us, and let us know how this has changed your life over the past 4 years. And maybe we can share some of those stories or little tidbits of the stories. We don't have to use any identifying information for people that don't want that. But I think it would be interesting to talk about that maybe on that next podcast, or maybe we have a special one on the 22nd. If that's another idea too, perhaps. So the 22nd falls on a Sunday, so perhaps we could do one on a Sunday evening and invite members of the community to come on and talk with us about how their life has changed, and maybe it's how you became involved in Pike Off, or who knows what. I mean, there's so much that's happened. And so anyway, that might be interesting to get some more people involved and let their voices be heard. Maybe we could offer up that sort of opportunity. I'd be happy to host it if we.
Yeah,
if we
that'd be great.
So let us know. Send us an email and let us know if you want to come on and do something fun like that.
Yeah, we've been hearing from people that fought the Creek and the Kickapoo and all over, and I think they realize that coming together as a community, you're stronger together than you are by yourself. You can't let them pick you off like the OTA always does for 70 years. But I do want to mention one thing before we get off. There is a bad bill coming up. It is House Bill 2143, and it was a shell bill that Representative Tedford took. He's from the Bixby area, and he rewrote that last week. They did everything in 6 hours. They can work really fast when they want to. So he added a location authorization in Title 69 statute, Section 1705E. He added a 36th location authorization that he wants the Turnpike Authority to build a bridge over the Arkansas River in the vicinity of Bixby. So if you know anybody that lives near Bixby, you need to contact them and let them know, and talk to your Representative Tedford. Apparently the mayor, Corey Brooks, is really on board with this bridge over the Arkansas River. And I have no idea if it's feasible, but I do know that the OTA said in their paperwork that authorization number 32, which was a bridge over the Arkansas River near Bixby, they said that was an infeasible turnpike bridge. So I'm not really sure how this new authorization is feasible for them, but I do know that we want to oppose it because I don't think any of the local Bixby people have been told about it, and we want to make sure that they have a chance to weigh in if this is what they want or they don't want. And so if you know anybody in that area, please do contact them and let them know that this is coming up for a vote on this Wednesday at 10:30 in the Transportation Committee meeting. So we want to make sure that we get the local people involved, because we don't know what the.
And you know what? When you call and talk with your legislator, especially if you call and talk to Mr. Tedford, I'd like you to ask him specifically, how much will this project raise tolls?
Yeah.
I mean, properly compensating landowners is going to lead to a 3% increase in tolls. So if they're going to take on a whole new project that's going to cost a whole lot more than $184 million, then how much are we going to have to increase tolls to build that bridge? They seem to care about the tolls increase, and they don't want that to happen. So if they think that moves the needle with legislators, then maybe that's what we need to lead with when we call them, is say, all right, they want a new authorization. How much is it going to cost us in tolls? We want to know. Let's tell us what the percentage is right here. Let's go. 3%, 10%, 30 cents, $3. What is it going to be?
For plate pay, it's going to be $100 one way.
Oh man. But that's from all out of state people. And here's what just does not make any sense to me is they talk all the time now about how 50% of our revenue or whatever is generated from out of state drive. Okay. That does not jive with you're trying to get people to come to the state to spend money. You're literally telling them to stay out of our state. You're making it unwelcome by charging them so much money just to drive through it. Like they have to pay an entry fee to get here to shop at our stores, to do business with us. So I don't see that makes any sense. And I still wonder, it used to be 40% was out of state and now it's 50%. Well, have we dropped? I mean, has that number gone up simply because we've already hit that threshold in which citizens local citizens don't want to pay it, and so they're not driving on the toll roads anymore? Is that why we hit that 50% is coming from out of state? Because the people here are already saying no more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I'm putting in this. I'm putting in a comment about the over the Arkansas River
Oh, yes.
vicinity of Bixby. So we gave you a lot of work again to do today, but last week you did your homework and we got our bills heard on the committee. 3 of them passed out of committee last week. We just got one passed out today. We hope we get another one passed out Wednesday, and we hope to get another one on the agenda for Thursday. If that's the case, we'll be 100% in judiciary, and then we can put our focus over to the Senate and hopefully get some movement there and keep rolling, because the momentum is building and people are learning about us and how important eminent domain reform is. So please stay involved and please help, and enjoy this nice weather today.
Yes. Yes, for sure. All right. Well, I don't think I have anything else. Do you get
I'm
everything?
good.
If we
Yeah.
think of anything else, we'll throw it in the comment section later. Anyway, awesome. Great show. It's been fun. I think we're out of here. Unless you had anything else.
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, until next time, you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next Monday.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Right of Way Report, a podcast by Pike-Off OTA. You can join us here every Monday morning at 10 a.m., where we will bring you updates on legislation, litigation, and landowner information.